Today I'm reviewing a digital microscope. It's a USB-based microscope that connects to a computer, and I'm going to be reviewing it. It's supposed to run on Windows 7 for industry, education, research, biological, mineral, basically the whole list of various things that you could possibly use a microscope for. My intent is to use it to start doing some macro dissection work with some reptiles that will be part of an upcoming project. But today I'm just going to check out and see if all the components came, and then follow up later in this video with additional details as to how it runs, because I just pulled this out and haven't looked at any instructions as far as how to run it, but so we'll just open it and see. Overall, it looks very nice. The box doesn't look like it's horribly damaged. Okay, alright, I like what I'm seeing. So we've got the all-in-one lens. Looks like it's got a cover there. That's nice. So, okay, so it's part of that. That's the zoom, supposedly up to 1000x. Based on my personal experience with microscopes, I'll be very impressed if this microscope could achieve true 1000x magnification. But hopefully it'll do what it needs to. Oh, look, it's got its own internal ring light of LEDs in there, so that'll be helpful. And they're uniformly spaced, provided that none of them are burnt out. But again, first time using the project, so I'm optimistic. All right, so this is the chassis. Oh, it's so inside here, it's got a little gear that turns, and that's gonna do the Z step. Now, I have not looked at the literature, but I imagine that will actually tell you what the Z step is on that. Okay, got the Z-axis column. Looks like it's in good condition. Very uniform, doesn't seem to be any deformities from the mold. That's good. It's actually surprisingly sturdy. It's not hollow cast. Perhaps some slight deformity here on the edge, but nothing that a quick trim wouldn't handle. And various hardware. Hopefully it's everything we need to do this assembly. Ah, they've got a calibration ruler. Very good. All right, and it looks like we should be able to get down to the 100th of a millimeter here. I'm gonna adjust it so that this is a little bit easier to see. I don't have the best setup currently, but you should be able to see that they've got the various coordinates. They've got lines of different thicknesses, as well as a grid to measure by. That's going to come in very handy. I've got a small disc, which I can only assume has the instructions and the software to run this microscope. Oh, and then they've got a neat tray, and the tray, I don't know if you can tell, actually has metric measurements down there at the bottom. So it's by the millimeter, so we've got 8.5 centimeters on one dimension, and then 10 centimeters in the other. That's great. So now that everything's out of the box, I'm actually going to start assembling this. Okay, so far so good. So then to mount, go on in this direction, and okay, so now it should be engaged. So as I push this down manually, okay, yep, so it's engaged. That's pretty stiff actually, so I might want to put some silicone based lubricant along the sides here to make that a little bit smoother. I don't want to make it too smooth because I don't see any way to adjust the tension. Oh, actually, you know what? There does look to be a lock nut in the back of this here. So if I open up this, alright, so we've got a number of pieces. So we've got what appear to be perhaps some rubber feet, rubber stoppers. Got these do not go all the way through, so they're end caps of some kind. We have 6 of them. And then we have 2 identical knobs, one of which I assume goes back here. Aha, so that's going to go across here. And therefore they should both pair with this little nut here. Okay, yeah, so that thread's on. So, that being the case, I can only assume that these, 6 perfect little pegs. That looks like they were just made for this. Now, the reason to even have these down here is to dampen any vibrations that would come from the workspace that you're in, if you've got your computer running nearby as the hard drive is spinning, if you don't have a solid state drive, would cause minute vibrations which are significantly magnified when you're starting to look down into the 100th of a millimeter. So, yeah, okay, that looks very nice. This feels smooth. All of them are flush. Yeah, my work mat is a little messy. Probably should clean that up sooner than later, but nevertheless. So this side is round. This side is hexagonal, so this is going to drop right in there, just like that. And without it falling out, push this through. Okay, the plastic itself doesn't seem to be threaded, which is good. All right, and then this will be what we use to apply pressure to clamp. And this, interestingly enough, is not threading into anything. Perhaps I haven't hit the right. There we go. I just needed to find the actual threads. So there we go. That is a neat little stand. I like that it's black. Is there anything I would change about this so far? No, but I definitely know that at some point down the line I will be creating some kind of case or cover. So there's this little tab here, and I am about 80% certain that in use you're going to want this off because you want as few barriers between your sample and your lens. Okay, yeah, so that does come off. Very good. Okay, so this is to protect it when it's not in use, prevent dust from accumulating. Good. Almost 6 feet of cable, so that can reach down to the desktop below. I might want to make a cable management system for this. Alright, so this naturally wants to fall right about there, and I can go ahead and tighten this up a little bit. So at this point I've got it resting right there at this junction. I right at this junction here, and I think that's where I want it. The snap and the zoom button are located on this case here, which I believe means that it's going to be a manual operation when I eventually get into the software. The plus side is probably means that the software is going to be pretty straightforward. The downside is that if I do make a case, I can include this. Oh, and an additional downside is that when you're trying to trigger the image to take, you're going to end up with some artifacts simply due to the fact that you're touching the instrument. So I'd much prefer a digital trigger, but perhaps that's something that we can either modify later on, or perhaps the software also includes a digital trigger. But I'll have to get to that a little bit later today. Yeah, I think I'm pretty well satisfied with this product, but I will come back and test this out and include that as part of this video later. So until then, we'll go ahead and put this on pause. Thank you for watching thus far.